here we are blasting down the field here. Looks a little wetter than what it should have been. It was not supposed to rain, at least not until later. And if you were there, you know that it absolutely poured on us on the starting line there. So they actually not suspended, but actually delayed the start for like 40-45 minutes or so because there was some lightning. So that was exciting. So I stood under the fuel ministry's tent for a little bit, and then we finally went back to the truck and sat in the trailer for a little bit, making a good pass right here. I got a pretty good start. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm kickstarting my bike now because it's just not quite starting as fast as I would like it to with the electric start. So the kickstart is actually faster. So Tony and Tim Creeth got a really good jump off the line, and so they're both ahead of me. That's not a good guy coming down the wrong way. So the only guys out in front of me right now on our row are Tony and Tim. This is a tight one right there. But I wasn't about to let off. You guys know how it is. It is pretty slick. It rained pretty hard for, I don't know, like maybe 25 minutes or so, and then kind of tapered off, and then eventually kind of stopped. So we got a late start. I can't imagine how good this track would have been if it didn't rain. It was going to be absolutely primo. It got okay once we rode on it a little bit. Looks like we're catching up to a whole pack of guys here. It got okay after we rode on it for a while, but some of it got worse and worse and worse as we rode on it. So it just kind of depends on where you were in the woods and what was going on. But you can see everybody's kind of sliding around a lot. I'm trying to save my. So we just, if you notice, I just skipped ahead on the first lap to a couple of passes here, right here. I just want to show that little clip. I got enough mud on the GoPro that I decided that I would not show the whole first lap because it wasn't going to be that good. So here is the beginning of the second lap. Just wanted to show the start and some of those passes and things, but this is the beginning of the second lap, and this will be the entire lap. That way you guys see the whole course, and things are spread out a little bit now. And then there is definitely some bonus footage at the end of just all the nasty mud holes where people were getting stuck and cross-rutted. All kinds of fun. So you've seen most of this before, but this will be a little bit quicker now that I kind of know the track a little bit and kind of know what the dirt is doing. I ran 7 laps, and Dave and I weren't sure. We were talking afterwards, and there were a couple of guys in our class that I don't think we know. Pretty quick. So I ended up getting second, and there's a guy that I don't know. I don't know that he's ever ran OXCR before. He might have ran the last one, I don't know, but he got first. I got second, and then there's another guy that we weren't really sure who it was. He got third, and then Dave got fourth. But the guy in first must have been scooting along pretty good because I felt like I had a pretty good pace going, and he beat me by I think several minutes. So he was running along pretty good. So this section here, as you can see, there's already bikes here. This is only the second lap, and this section does continue to get worse. This uphill's pretty slick. I get into a mess a few different times on this uphill with people, dropping their bikes or whatever. But I tell you, some of the track was really good. It got really, really fast, and actually fairly good traction on some of the track. like I said, if it wouldn't have rained, I just think it would have been just absolutely perfect. Pretty fast little uphill section here. I kind of like the helmet stickers that they do at GNCC, so you can kind of tell who's in your class. There are times when if I would know that someone's has just passed me, like this guy right here that was in my class, if I knew he was in my class, then I might try to stick with him a little bit better. But you know, we don't have the helmet stickers or anything. I'm not sure why. That would be a good idea if we had the helmet stickers. If guys would run them, because it's nice to know when you know you're getting passed by somebody in your class, or you're catching up to somebody in your class. All this up here was really good. It wasn't too slick. If this wasn't wet, man, some of these sections would have been just super high speed. It was just slick enough in areas that you kind of had to tiptoe at times. But this stuff back here, this new stuff was excellent. The rain that we did get, this loamy soil just sucked it right up, so wasn't a problem at all. It wasn't until you got back onto these you know, beat-in trails that it got really bad. This section here got pretty bad later in the race. I got some footage at the end of the video on this section. That's one of the easiest times I've got through it during this race. So I think I said that I ran 7 laps, and the top 4 guys in Masters all ran 7 laps. And then I think it started dropping off after that lap time. I didn't pay attention to how many laps the pros ran. I know for sure I seen some of those guys lap me at least once. I can't really recall them lapping me twice. They could have. I don't know. I'd have to check, but I do remember for sure they lapped once. They probably lapped twice, I would imagine. I would imagine they probably ran 9 laps, but we'll see when they post everything on Facebook. We'll see what happened. Yeah, this section back here would have been really fast and really flowy too if it wasn't so slick. Dirt here is really, really good. Even wet, a lot of these sections were nice. So this turn right here, that's a really sharp right-hand turn, and this is where. So I came out first on the whole shot, and then later in this lap, this is the second lap, you'll see that I catch up to Dave, and I'm like, how in the world? Actually, that's Dave right there. So I catch up to Dave right here, and I'm like, how in the world is Dave in front of me? But on the first lap, I was following, I think it was Joey Poland, and him and I missed that turn because one of the rows ahead of us must have took that tape out. I'm sure there was tape across there. And so we missed that turn, had to turn around and kind of fight our way through the woods to get back on the course. And I'm sure that's where Dave got by me. And that's probably where a couple of the other guys that were running quick in our class got by me. So since this is the second lap, for a while I wasn't even sure if maybe Dave got stuck or something, and maybe I'm getting ready to lap him. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I didn't realize that he had probably passed me when I overshot that turn, because I think Dave came out of the hole shot in fourth, because I seen him on my left there at the start, and I took that outside line coming into the woods, and I got around him. So yeah, we went back and forth. We went back and forth a couple times actually. Super nice track here. Basically almost like a supercross track, really. I think there's some local pros that practice, or maybe somebody said there's some pros that practice here. This is their practice track, so definitely would be a awesome place to practice, that's for sure. So Dummy said he's been trying to get this property for about 10 years. Just hadn't been able to get a race here. But I'm sure glad that he was able to get that figured out, because this was a super nice place to ride. So through this section here, I definitely have a little bit more pace than Dave, so I'm just kind of looking for a way by. But like I said, we went back and forth actually a couple of times during the race. Sometimes you just, on certain laps, you get a little bit more speed, and a couple laps later, you're kind of taking a breather a little bit. I thought the track had a really good mix of just about everything. There was definitely some flowy stuff, definitely some fast stuff, like this tighter stuff like this, when kind of the roots start getting exposed and everything. Yeah, it was good. I thought it had a little bit of everything. Huge turnout. I don't know how many of the bikes there were, and the little bikes, you know, in the early class. Man, there was tons of kids out there. Lots of four-wheelers. It was a great turnout today. Yeah, so I'm just trying to find an easy pass here. At this point, I kind of feel like people are going to start catching us from the back. I've got a little bit more pace at this point. I think I get a sneak by here a little bit later in this lap. Definitely ride better when my hands are not covered in wet, sloppy mud, that's for sure. Wasn't expecting a mud race 2 weeks in a row, but this actually was a pretty fun day. I enjoyed this day for the most part, although it was a tough race. Another really fast section coming down the top of this ridge here. Not sure how big of a chunk this piece of property is, but man, what a beautiful piece of property. So we're coming down to this little section right here was absolutely insane slick. I mean, like you were just on ice, but literally not exaggerating. It was just crazy. You just like you slid down through here and just were hoping you didn't go over, because it was pretty slick. The first lap was probably the worst, but it was slick the whole time. So So here I find a nice little off camber, and Dave kind of gives me a hole here, and I kind of sneak by. Then we come over the crest here, and it looks like they've got that somebody stuck or wrecked down in there. So there's an alternate line here to the left. It looks like the kids were taken. So I sneak by Dave there and try to run away here a little bit. See, we're catching up to a lot of guys that are struggling in the mud. Tell you what, suspension setup makes a huge difference in the mud. A little shout out to ProTune there if you need your suspension done. Call Corey out there at ProTune. He'll help you out. Tight little stuff. I like this kind of stuff. So we're coming up on the first lap here. Well, actually, this is the end of the second lap. Not sure what happened with that guy right there, but so this is actually the end of my second lap is what this is. So we're going to start jumping into some carnage footage here. So this is just going to be a bunch of different clips of mud holes, basically, is all this is going to be. This was a pretty big one here. Every lap we came around, you just prayed that you could get through this without too much of a mess. So here you can see there's absolutely nowhere to go right here. I'm looking off to the right there to see if there's a line in through there, but I don't want to take a chance of dropping down into that creek and not being able to get up out of there. To the left, there's just absolutely nothing. So at this point, we're just waiting. And I know this guy on the left here, I know he's itching as much as me. So these guys here, I think, are just so wore out. They can't do anything, it looks like. Sneak around those guys and keep moving forward. All right, we'll jump to another clip here. This little section here wasn't horrible, but this ledge coming up out of here on the left was, and a lot of guys were struggling here. I made quite a few passes on different laps here, but it continued to get worse and worse and worse throughout the race. Couldn't believe I got as much footage as I did, because I thought that and I tried to wipe the GoPro, and luckily I was able to keep it pretty clean. So once again, more guys on that hill stuck. This is what you can expect at a mud race. Just keep lots of momentum and try and keep weight on the back tire and just keep the power on is the main thing. This long uphill section here was a lot of fun. You could really rail it up through there. So I let this guy by, and then luckily he kind of parts the waters a little bit. So I just kind of follow him. Both wanting to get through this mess. I think a lot of these guys are just kind of watching and not wanting to go. So luckily we were able to sneak through. Now we had to jump lines over here because there was a guy up there stuck on the left line. So we jump lines here and are able to sneak up through here. Carnage everywhere that lap. I think this is probably about the 4th or 5th lap. And then not sure here. I thought I could sneak by that guy, and I think he kind of stood his bike up right as I tried to sneak by, and tapped there a little bit. So this is a different uphill. Once again, this was kind of a sore spot for a lot of people. So I see a bunch of bikes up here, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna find me a line right through these woods right here. So I sneak up in here and I see a line, and I kind of want to shoot up through here just a little bit, and then there's a log laying down there. So I back up just a little bit, and I'm looking at these two saplings, and I see in my line right there, and I'm like, you know what? I could get right up through there, so I just shoot right up through these two little saplings and kind of push them saplings over, and then just kind of rail up around this guy that's picking his bike up. Just keep moving forward. All right, here's the little ledge again. This is probably my 6th lap, I would think. So, kind of got a little messed up there. If I would have taken that line and hammered it up through there, I would have ran right into the back of that guy. So there was no way around that. I had to stop. And this is steeper than what it looks, for sure. GoPro flattens everything out. Now that dude there's hurting, man. Look at that bike down in that hole. That one ain't going nowhere. Not without about 5 people. So one more mud hole accomplished there. So this is what you pray to see on a mud race. Coming up. That thing right there. So just for fun, I'll show you how I felt afterwards. This is what my bike looked like. I just want some shade. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and you can see that I'm pretty wore out. See you guys at the next round.